Sanjay Manjrekar and Mark Butcher. Plenty of talk. It's now about selection and action and who starts as favourites. Reading the last paragraph of your article, you do believe England are the favourites looking at India's injury concerns, Sanjay.
Yes, India's bit of batting vulnerability sort of weakens India. Jasprit Bumrah being unfit was a massive setback. So, yeah, when you look at the 5-match series, England start as favourites. But if it gets tight in one of those test matches, then I back India to sort of prevail because temperamentally, this team is very strong and that's its greatest strength.
We'll just look at some numbers before I get to Butch. One thing that we're focusing on is England's opening conundrum. Even in the 2-test series against Pakistan, their opening conundrum since 2013 of all the teams, if you look at the number of players they've tried in the last 5 years at that opening slot, England lead the roost with 14 and an average of 33. Add to that Alistair Cook has been the only constant. So he's seen 13 guys play musical chairs at the other end. And now it looks like it'll be Keaton Jennings to support him. But let me get Mark Butcher's thoughts. Butch, that's a worry for you, Cook and the rest of the Cook en route, but the rest of the batting still with question marks?
Yeah, and that has been the case for living memory, really. Alistair Cook has had a revolving door of opening partners. Joe Root has moved himself to number 3 in the order. He's been very successful at number 4, but feels that the way to sort of put out the fire before it starts is to go in at first drop. But of course, when the opening partnerships are just not producing the sort of runs or sort of starts that you need, then the captain is in earlier than you would like. No sign that is going to change, really. Keaton Jennings made 29 in his comeback test match against Pakistan, and everyone was saying, oh, he looks a much better player than the one who was left out a year or so ago. But time will tell. These guys are probably going to have good conditions to bat in, aren't they? I mean, it shouldn't be swinging and seaming all over the place. And so they need to build some foundations for England's middle order to come in and be able to attack on.
Okay, let's talk selection and teams. So much will depend on conditions, but if we are to assume this weather in England that might see us look at a dry pitch and the potential of possibly 2 spinners, we're talking of England playing 2 spinners. India resisted that temptation even when they saw a pitch which was similar to that in Centurion, Sanjay. Would you be a fan of the 2-spin theory? Would you play 6 batsmen to start? How would you start for India?
Yeah, actually I've already picked my playing 11.
Yeah.
India will have to play 2 spinners because their seam department is weakened. Their seam bowling was their strength to begin with. If Bumrah was fit, if Bhuvi was fit, and just 1 spinner would have sufficed. But Kuldeep Yadav's success in white ball cricket, there's some kind of temptation to play him. So I would think if it's a rank turner, your best choice spinner, first spinner should be Ravindra Jadeja.
Okay.
That's my playing 11
Yeah,
there.
I mean, we're coming to the bowling. I've already seen the big news in the batting side because I don't see Cheteshwar Pujara in your top 5. So
yeah,
there
because
you
had to get Rahul in.
Yes.
Rahul is a guy that India have to back and try and make him this worthy partner for Virat Kohli in overseas conditions. He has the potential, but India have a problem to address, which comes, which is about batting in their first exposure there. So Hardik Pandya is there because he bats, and you get that third seamer. And Ashwin also ahead of Jadeja if the pitch is not a rank turner because he bats better than Jadeja in test matches. So I'm thinking different and history repeating itself that you have major injury concerns just before an England tour which actually follows an IPL season.
Very well. Now Mark Butcher, Sanjay has thrown a few surprises. No Pujara in his team. Of course, he didn't score too many runs while he was playing county cricket just a few months back. But just your thoughts. England have a few questions of their own to answer. Do they play 2 spinners? It's almost an anti-climax to the Adil Rashid saga. If he doesn't make the 11 now, you would think that he finds a place there. And if he does, then how do England leave out 1 batsman and who would that be? Your thoughts?
Without seeing the pitch, it's very difficult to tell. But England's default position at home would be to play 4 seamers and 1 spin bowler. We don't have great spin bowlers, and therefore playing 2 spinners is always deemed to be a luxury. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if only one of Rashid and Moeen Ali played. If they played 2 spinners, then the only way I can see of doing it that allows England to have the safety net of still having four seamers in the attack is to leave out a batsman, and that batsman will probably be Dawid Malan, who's slated to come in at number 4, which would mean that Johnny Bairstow would move up, Stokes would move up, Buttler would come in at 6, Moeen Ali would bat 7, and that's how England would do it. They basically pack the side with all-rounders from number 4 downwards.
Okay, so let's quickly, I don't like prediction questions, they're useless, I believe, Sanjay. So I'm going to ask you the one thing that you think is vital for India to get right to start this series well early on.
I think Butch has mentioned somewhere, Butch mentioned it about Virat Kohli getting runs right at the start of the series and just sort of diffuses this whole build-up of this contest between Anderson and Virat, and that will have an effect on the rest of the team. So let's hope Rahul becomes that batsman who gets runs start of the series, carries the form, and Virat Kohli. They get runs, India put runs on the board. In the field, India will find a way to compete. It's a matter of getting runs on the board.
Very well. Same question for you, Mark Butcher. The one thing England would want to get right on the other side, maybe if Jimmy Anderson, regardless of conditions, runs through and picks up 5 or 6, that should give India the jitters for the rest of the series. Thoughts? The one thing that you want England getting right early on?
Look, I think, well, two. I'm going to go for two.
Sure.
Right? First one, Joe Root. Joe Root continues the form that he showed in the one-day series. Then England have a batsman who can score big runs and can do them at the sort of rate that will put the opposition on the back foot, and everybody else can play around him. The second thing is that the bowling attack works very much as a unit, because I don't see people taking 6-fers and 7-fers. I see it being very much a team effort. If they stick together, perform very well as an 11. Then they have a very good chance because they're at home.
Sanjay Manjrekar, Mark Butcher, always a pleasure. You'll get their thoughts as this wonderful series commences. First of 5 tests begins at Edgbaston on the 1st of August.